So, hello everyone, and welcome to Guwahati Meetup. So, the topic for our meetup today is Anypoint MQ, and I'll be the speaker for the meetup today. So, before we jump into the meetup, let's have some safe harbor statements. So, both the speaker and host are not organizing this meetup in individual capacity only. We are not representing our company here. This presentation is strictly for learning purpose only. Organizer president do not hold any responsibility that same solution will work for your business requirement. This presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. Some safe harbor, some housekeeping. So the recording of this meeting will be uploaded in the meetup page within 24 hours. If you have any question or anything, you can directly put me in the chat, or you can unmute and you can ask me so that we can make it more interactive. At last, you'll get a feedback form once the meetup is done so that you can fill up your advice, your request, or anything related to the meetup here so that it will help us to improve and bring up more new topics which can help you to understand it more. Okay, so we'll go to my introduction. So I'm a MuleSoft ambassador. My name is Abhishek Bathwal. I'm working as a associate solution architect in Epicero. I have a total of 7+ years of experience and 5+ years in MuleSoft. I'm a certified developer and architect. I'm a leader for Guwahati and Lucknow group. I'm a frequent speaker. I create videos as well. So I have a channel called Developers Guide where you can find all those videos, even the meetup videos also, you can find it over there. So now moving to our agenda. So we are going to discuss about Anypoint MQ, where we are going to discuss what are the different queue types, what are the connectors we can get into studios, how to configure the Anypoint MQ configuration in the studio, what are the different error types we can have, circuit breaker and DLQ. So before moving into the deep introduction of this or deep description of this, I would like to understand from you if anyone would like to unmute and uh, ex- express their view on what they understand about Anypoint MQ. Anyone? No? Fine. So just to add one point, I will keep the theoretical part less and there will be more of demo. So that will make you more understand. Okay. So what's Anypoint MQ? It is actually a multi-tenant uh, connector provider, we can say, which is asynchronous in process. Okay. It is mostly used with Anypoint platform. It is basically cloud. Okay. Cloud connector, we can say, which is mostly used with cloud deployment. Okay. Then enable easy connection to non-mule application also using REST APIs. We have Anypoint brokers where we can use it as a REST API. We have this is a pub/sub model. Okay, this contains maximum of 10 MB of payload. That is 1 MB. One payload can be of maximum 10 MB size, and there is no limitation on the messages in the queue. But in flight, the maximum messages we can have is 1,20,000, and I will show you what the difference between queuing messages and in-flight mode. Okay, there is a dead letter queue option over here which can help us in error handling. Okay, then anything like there is note like it accept mostly on text. Okay, and I will show you what different format it accept, but anything apart from text such as CSV, HTML, JSON or anything, okay, all of them are converted into string and then the size of that payload increase. Okay, so make sure like we have a limit of 10 MB per payload. Then we have different queue types like exchange, FIFO and a standard queue. Okay, and I will show you what the difference and how we create that. Then we have different connector type in Anypoint Studio, which are subscriber, publish, consumer, ACK, and NAC. Then this is how we configure, like we need to put a URL, a client ID and client secret, and I will show you how we get it. Then these are some of the error type attached with the connectors, which we can get once we go in the error mapping field inside the connector. Then we'll discuss about circuit breaker. Okay, what is circuit breaker, how it works, what is closed, half open and open state of a circuit breaker. Then uh, how we do the configuration for the circuit breaker. And at last, we'll discuss the DLQ, like how we attach it with our queues and how it acts. Okay, so now directly let's move to our demo. Anyone have any question? Okay, so for this, we need to go to our platform first. Okay, and you need to have a MQ license. Just to make a note, MQ is not coming with your trial version. You need to have a particular license to get the Anypoint MQ subscription. Okay, so once you go to your platform, it will look like this, and then inside that you need to go to the Anypoint MQ tab. Okay, once you go, you will see something like this tab. Okay, initially if there is no queue created, it will be empty. There will be nothing over here. Just to save time, I have already created it. Okay, so to create any queue, what you need to do is you need to go to this option. Okay, right over here in this plus option, and once you click on that, you will get this options. This is for standard queue, this is for exchange, and this is for FIFO. Okay, if you click on exchange, you can see you can give a name, and in exchange what we can do is we can bind another queues, and for endpoint MQ only the standard queue can be binded with an exchange. So what exchange do is it broadcast, that is if you send a message in exchange, so whatever queues are binded with that, all of them will get the messages. Okay, that's what the exchange do. Okay, then a standard queue, normal one. Okay, you just need to give name. Now a dead letter queue can be attached over here with this. Okay, a FIFO queue, again it is a queue, just the thing is it goes in a sequence way. The way you insert the message inside it, the same way it will uh, give the message back to you. Okay, and I will show you that. So maybe I will show you one standard queue. So this is how we have a message TTL acknowledgement time. Message TTL means if your message is inside the queue and that is not used, that is not like consumed by you, then the maximum day it can leave in that queue is the message TTL. And this you can change. Okay, you have a range. So you can have a range between 60 to this. Okay, this is what it says. Okay, you cannot have it 0. 7 is the standard one, what by default we get. Okay, and this 7 is for days, and this one is for minutes. Okay, sorry, seconds. The range for this seconds is this. For minute is 1 minute to this much minute you can have. Okay, then for hour, this is the limit for your hour. Okay, the range, what the maximum limit is, 336 hours. And for days, let us see. For days, this is the maximum. 14 days are the maximum limit you can have it. Okay, so at present we will keep it as it is. Acknowledgement timeout. Now suppose when you send a message inside the queue and then consuming that, so it need an acknowledgement whether it is successful or failure. Okay, you can do that manually, you can do it automatically. There are several mode again, okay, which we will discuss. Then we have a message sender option. In this you can send the message. By default it accepts JSON, CSV, or text. So anything apart from this will be treated as text only, like HTML or XML. You need to move that into text format. But here we have three different options: text, CSV, and JSON. Okay, then again, if you want to have any delay, you can put that. In message browser, you can get the messages what you have sent to the queues. You can see what messages are there in the queue. That what you can see. Okay. As I said, exchange. Now I have already created an exchange and my two queues are bounded to this. Okay, MQ1 and MQ2. Now if I need to bind other, I just simply click on this. Okay, or I can select multiple and I can bind it using this. Okay, this is how the exchange works. Now, how to get the configuration. So now let us talk about the configuration, what all things we need. Okay. Again, when you first create your project, you may not get this connector. So what you can do is you can connect your studio with your platform. Okay, you can type Anypoint MQ, you can search and you can download that dependency. So these are the connectors which you get for Anypoint MQ. Okay, the studio connectors, and the configuration for this is we need to have a URL, client API ID, and client secret. Okay, so I already have that, which I have created in my properties file. So now how to get the URL? So you need to go to your Anypoint MQ. Now here there are different reasons. That's why it is called as multi-tenant. Okay, so this is the nearest data warehouse. Whatever you want to select, you can select that. Okay, and yeah, then you can copy. So here you have got different versions now. Okay, so if you click on this, This will give you the URL. Now this is your URL which you required. Now how to create the client ID and client secret? You need to go to this client app. Okay, and here you need to click and you need to give a name for that. Okay, for me, I have already given, this is by client ID and client secret. Okay, you can find the same over here. So this is required in order to connect to your Anypoint MQ. Okay, so this is the basic configuration. Once you do this, then we are ready with creating our flows. Okay, so now first let me show you how the exchange works. So my exchange is already connected with my MQ1 and MQ2. Okay, so to put the message into a exchange or in any of the queue, we use publish. So publish means we are pushing the message to the queue. Subscriber, it worked as a listener. This means as soon as the message go inside the queue or exchange, it fetch the data. Okay, it fetch the data from that queue. Now what is the configuration for this? Okay, let me show the configuration for publish. Just we need to give the destination, like exchange is the name of my that exchange. Okay, connector. In this I need to give the destination, the payload, the body is payload. I'm just sending a payload to this. Okay, my configuration. Okay, this is the error mapping I was talking. If you can choose a particular error and you can map to a particular error handling type. Okay, this is the advanced. Okay, so now this is our exchange for, and this is the publish connector, our subscriber. Again, you need to give the connection config, the queue name. Now in this we have two mode, a prefetch mode and a polling. So polling means you can fix a time, like you don't want like your subscriber to run every time. As soon as you get the message, you don't want to pick it. So you can have a polling like every 10 minutes or 1 hour or once in a day, whatever you want, you can have it. Like if you know about scheduler, the same way, this is what. Okay, next is prefetch. Prefetch means as soon as you get the message in the queue, you will fetch it. And local, max local message, that means you are keeping a buffer in your connector. Like at a time you are fetching 30 messages from that queue. You are keeping it and then you are processing one that is done, the next messages. Now I was talking about acknowledgement mode. So we have three different mode: auto, immediate, and manual. Auto means when all the complete message is done, when it is success, the message will automatically will delete it from the queue. Okay, if it is not success, it will keep the message in the queue. Immediate means as soon as the message hits your subscriber and come out of the subscriber, it is giving an acknowledgement saying okay, it is good, you can delete the message. Manual means manual will use with ACK and NAC connector. Okay, so we need to give a token. Okay, we need to provide a token back saying that whether it is a success or failure, and I will show you that. Okay, so now first let us see our how our publisher, how our subscriber, how our exchange work, and how our standard queue work. Okay, any question till now on this? Anyone have any question? How many does Anypoint have? How many subscriber does an Anypoint have? It's a connector size. So how many subscriber means you can create whatever subscriber you want. Okay. MQ might be similar to Kafka. Yes, in one way it is quite similar to Kafka. Polling size is 10. Okay. So polling size is 10 means the way. So fetching size, that means like when I'm polling at a time, it will fetch only 10 messages. Okay, you can increase or decrease. So once I'm polling the messages out of the queue, I will only poll 10 messages at a time. I will first process that. Then next run, I will fetch 10 messages. I'm not going to fetch all at a time. Okay, that's the polling size. Okay, fine. So now let me run this. Okay, I have a HTTP connector over here where I will send the data to this flow, which will go to publish. And in the console, you can see from which queue it is coming. I have a payload over here. I am a logger over here. For MQ1, a payload will come. For MQ2, another payload will come. Okay, so I will just run it. So I already have my postman. So this is what I am going to send. This is my URL. I'm going to send a JSON message, test exchange. Okay, it's deployed. Now let me execute this. See, now this one is the payload for my this flow. Okay, this is my payload for this flow. Then I have my payload for MQ2 and MQ1. So at a time, it has sent the message to both of these queues because it is binded with exchange, and exchange what it does, it send the same messages to all the queues which are binded to it. Okay, so see, we can find both the messages are coming to the queue. Okay, and we can see that. So this is how the exchange work. Okay, got it. Now let us see difference between a FIFO and standard queue. Okay, so this is again a normal one. Okay, I will send some messages to FIFO, I will send some messages to standard. Okay, FIFO means first in first out. So the number of messages you send in a sequence, in the same sequence we are going to get the messages. Just one thing you need to make sure, the local message limit should be one only. Okay, why? Because if you keep a buffer, if you keep suppose 30 over here, now I am sending the message to my FIFO queue. It is in sequence, but when it is coming in that buffer, there the sequence may not be in a particular sequence format. The messages may not be in a sequence format. So when it gives out you the message, again it will be in a non-sequence. So that doesn't match with the FIFO queue standard. Okay, that's why the message should always be one, the local message size over here. Okay, so what I will do, first let me show you the in-flight and flight mode. So we'll deal with FIFO first. So I will send some message over here. Okay, say I am going to send three messages. First I am sending this one, test one. See, message sent. Now my API is not working, it is in stop mode, so we can see this messages inside the queue. Okay, so we'll go back, we'll click on this. So this is in queue and in flight. In queue means the message is there, it is not processing. In flight means it is trying to process. Okay, so we have three messages. We can go and we can also see it. Just get the message. See, the sequence in which I have sent the message in the queue, the same sequence I will see over here. Okay, in the same sequence. So now let me run it. And the same way we will get the message out. So you can also unmute and ask any question if you have in between. Okay, if I miss looking out the
Hey
chat.
Abhishek, Swapnil here.
Yeah, yeah, hi.
While you were looking at those messages, I mean, the sequence in which you have placed and you were showing that
Uh-huh.
there was a timer
Uh-huh.
on right hand side. What was
Huh.
that reverse timing?
This one.
19-second, three messages. The right hand side. Uh,
This message is correct. So this messages, this time is the time when I have input the message as I am using the Tokyo reason.
no,
So
no,
it
no.
is something,
The
huh?
timer on right hand
This
side.
one.
What is it? Is it
Okay,
related to
this is
this or
no, this is like how much time it is taking to fetch the messages.
okay, okay.
Okay, how much time it is taking to fetch? Like if you'll see, like if you go and if you fetch, okay, now see it is working. I will show you. Okay, so it is working. See, it has started getting the message test one. Okay, it processed. Similarly, it will process other messages as I was looking that. So I have fetched the messages. It is not in queue now. So it may take time. Okay. So again in flight, that means it is now trying. If not, maybe we'll try to rerun it again. Just because we are also dealing with that, we are looking on that. So it got some conflict. Okay, let me run again. Okay, let me purge it and let me send the messages again. So purge means we are deleting the messages. Okay, now let me send it again. Okay, fine, working. So the thing is, the way we send the message inside this, the same way we can get it. Okay, now Swapnil, you are asking about the timer. Okay, so let me do it with the standard queue and I will show you what that timer is. Okay, the similar way I will put the messages here. Okay, now let us go and just refresh it. Okay, my API is okay, not working. It is trying to push, but now let us fetch it and see the sequence. So this means when you are trying to fetch it, okay, it is taking 20 seconds to retrieve all the messages for that queue. That is that timer. Like,
Okay, okay,
okay, it is like, see, it is still running two messages only it retrieve. It is trying to retrieve whatever message is there, which is not processed. Okay, that's why it is taking time. Now
okay.
in queue, we have got two messages. One is in flight. So it has given us two messages. Okay, now we'll go back. Okay, again it is trying to send the messages. Okay, again we'll try and we'll search whether we are getting any messages not. Return to the queue. Okay, so see, again it is trying to fetch those messages which are in the queue at present. Okay, and this is not in sequence. So the number of time you fetch the message from the standard queue, it will never come in a sequence. Okay, it will always change. But in FIFO queue, whenever you try to fetch a messages, is it will always be in a sequence, the sequence in which you have pushed the message to the queue. Okay, that's what the difference between a standard and a FIFO queue. Okay, so now it is again and again trying to push the messages. Let's do one thing. Let's start this and check it. Okay, we are in prefetch mode. Okay. Ah, this is sometimes bugs we get when we do demos. Let me clean this and restart it again. Okay. So see, this is processing the messages. Okay, till now we got two. It is trying to process other as well. We'll see this now. Okay, it will change. So now only one message we have. So we have a total of three messages. Two are processed. One is there in flight, which is trying to process it. Okay, it is trying to process that messages. So once it get that, okay, so now this is also processed. Okay, so now if you go back and if you'll see, there will be no messages either in flight or in queue. See, it takes some time to display, but it works. Okay, let me refresh this. Fine. So now if I go back to my standard queue and if I try to fetch if there is any messages, so it is just trying for 20 seconds. Okay, after that it will, so we have a pooling time over here. So if we increase or decrease, then this timing will also change. So till now we don't have any messages, still it is trying, it will try for 20 seconds. If not, then it will not try. Okay, waiting for request to complete. So there is no message, so we didn't got anything. Okay, this is how it works. Now we got about exchange, we got about FIFO queue, we got about standard queue. Now there is one more component which is called consumer. So the subscriber always goes to the listener part. Okay, here the exchange we preferably put as a publisher because we need to publish the message into exchange. We are unable to get the message directly from exchange. Something need to be bind with that. Okay, so then comes consumer. So what consumer means is, now suppose you want it on demand. So you have a synchronous process where before you have a HTTP requester, and you have created in such a way like if the HTTP requester works fine, if we get a output of that, then only I should fetch some messages from the consumer. Okay, from the queues, that where we use the consumer, which can be in the processor part. So in this is like a subscriber, but this is not at the listener part. Okay, it doesn't like we don't put it as a listener so that it can give the message as it want. We put it as a consumer. Okay, we put it in the middle. Okay, and we have some configuration on that. Okay, we can put the queue name. Okay, so initially when you put the consumer, okay, what you will say is we don't have any acknowledgement time limit or anything, any polling time limit. Like if we want, we can automatically poll it instead of having any scheduler from here. We can use this and we can poll it. But what we should prefer is we should always keep this as 0. Okay, by default it won't be 0, but we should keep it as 0. Okay, and if we don't do this, what will happen? Okay, by default it takes some input, it takes some timing over here, and when you run your process it fails. Okay, it give you, like suppose if there is no message in the consumer, it will fail, and hence your flow will fail. So to avoid that, what we put is we put it as 0. Okay, so once we put it as 0, that means it will not fail, it will just give that there is no input in the queue, and it will give you null. Okay, now let me run this and show you. So I have kept a poll for this. Okay, this is my scheduler which will run every 10 seconds. Okay, so let me run it. Now we don't have any message in this consumer. Okay, there is no messages. Okay, so when there is no message, let's see how it revert us. Meanwhile, anyone have any question? How will the subscriber process messages if the Mule app is deployed on multiple workers? So it will automatically distribute. Okay, it is not going to make it same, or maybe like if you are doing an on-prem, you can select a primary node. We have a primary node over there, correct? So it will automatically distribute. Yes, Abhishek, I will explain where we need to put it. 0 is, now see, as we don't have a message, we need to make it, it is null. So you need to make it 0 at the acknowledgement time. You can make it 0 and the polling time basically. Okay, acknowledgement time again, if you want to have anything, okay, it is immediate. Immediate means as long as it comes out of the consumer, that means it is done. So now if you make it manual, then it is something like you are putting a time or you are using the ACK on neck. Okay, so let me also show you what happens when it is not null. Okay, so I don't have any messages. Okay, let me bring the consumer over here. Okay, this is the by default one where I have not made any change. I will delete this. Okay, now I don't have anything. Okay, now I will run it. Okay, it's running. Now started consumer, as we haven't given any time, this itself take a default polling time. So now see, it's an error. So this is the default polling time it takes when we don't put anything, and it fails, saying that we don't have any messages. So the number of time it will run, it will fail. Okay, see, didn't receive any message during polling interval of this milliseconds. Okay, so to avoid this, what we do is we don't put any acknowledgement time limit, also any polling time limit, so that it works or it runs without any failure. So now let us put a message in this. Okay, just one message I will put, say consume. I can put it in text format and I will send it. And now we'll run it. Okay, see, it got it. It got the message. So this is how your consume work. Now again, there is no messages, so it will be null as it has already consumed it. Okay, any doubt till now? Anyone have any question? No? Fine. So now we will see the another connector, which is our ACK and NACK. Okay, so ACK means when it is positive acknowledgement, NACK means negative acknowledgement, saying to the queue, okay, whether the API has been executed successfully or not. Okay, so for this, what you just need to do is you need to make it to the acknowledgement mode as manual, and you can set some time limit, like for how much time you need to wait for this ACK or NACK to reply. Okay, just I kept 1 minute. Within 1 minute, it should reply. Okay, in ACK and NACK, what you need to do is you need to put a token. So once you make this mode as manual, there will be an attribute out of this subscriber, which is this ACK token. So you need to use that token for your ACK and NACK, which will identify this messages for this particular token. Okay, so let us put a debugger. Okay, for this I have created an HTTP request which is not going to anywhere, so it will fail over here. Okay, so we'll just simply debug this. Okay, before that, let me put the messages. So I'll put the messages in my ACK and NACK. First, let me do it for ACK. Okay, this is my JSON message for ACK. I have put the messages. I have the message in this. You will see it. Okay, in the queue. Now I'll go back and let me this time debug it. Any question till now? Anyone? Any doubt? Okay. What happens if MQ is down at consume stage? See, if it is down, then automatically your MQ messages are saved. But if you are talking about publish, like when we are publishing the message into the queue, are you talking about that?
Yeah,
Like,
both.
okay. See, if it is at the consume stage, we will get errors, but our message is saved because it is already there. Okay, but at the publish stage, mostly it doesn't happen, as this is cloud application and they keep uh, they keep this sure that it doesn't go down, but if at all it go down, then you need to write some logics inside your API, so that if there is any connectivity error itself in the Anypoint MQ, like that's why I showed in initial stage, like we can map. Okay, there are error mappings which you can use, like if there is any connectivity or something, then what you need to do, because there may be a possibility, it's a minimum possibility, but yes, you can have some logic, some error handling at your place. So now see, there is a act token which is coming from this subscriber, and this is what we need to use when we sending the acknowledgement. So this is act saying that okay, everything is fine, and end. Okay, so now we'll see whether there is any message or not. So there is no message, that means it is acknowledged, okay, it is working right. So now the system is already running. Let us see for NAC what happened, as it should fail here. So similarly, we can put a message to NAC, okay, saying it is NAC, and we'll send it. Now it came over here, failed. It went to NAC, stating this, the message is not working. So the number of time I tried, it will keep on sending the message. Why? Because once it is NAC, the message go back to the queue, and it's keep on trying. Okay, it's keep on trying to process. The number of time I will try, the number of time it will keep on trying. Okay, because it is a negative acknowledgement saying okay, it is not good, you need to reprocess or you need to keep the message. Okay, so now the thing is, if it is keep on giving me this negative acknowledgement, I will go in a dead loop if it is a bad request. Correct? So for that, again, you can have some logic that if it is giving anything like bad request or anything, then you need to put that into some other queue maybe. Okay, instead of putting it to NAC, okay, you can put it into some other queue so that we don't process it again and again, and we can see what is the issue with that. Okay, also when you put it into a queue or anything, it will just put the message, it will not put the reason. So maybe you need to create a payload over here stating with a complete message, the error type, the payload, everything, and then push it to another queue. So in a separate error queue, which is again a standard queue, that is not DLQ. Okay, there is some misconception, like the queue which we put over here as a error MQ name, that is DLQ. I have seen people are putting some queues as a publisher over here, name that as a DLQ. That is not DLQ. DLQ is directly attached with this subscriber. Okay, one more option to get rid of this is the DLQ, and I will show, like even the errors are coming, instead of processing it again and again, we can move it to the DLQ, but the DLQ will contain the original message. You cannot modify the message with some payload. Okay, so we'll stop it, we'll go back, and for now we will delete, because it will keep on sending the message, it will never go because there is an error. I will delete this. So now we'll see the concept of DLQ in the same situation. If we have this kind of thing, what we can do. So I have a MQ name, demo MQ, which attached a DLQ. And here, like if I remove this, there is no option. But if I enable, it will ask me which queue you want to put it as a DLQ. Okay, and make sure if you are making a standard queue, a standard DLQ can only be attached with that. We have a attempt retry, that means it will try twice. If an error occurs, for two time it will try to process that. Still if there is an error, then it will move to the DLQ. Okay, this is my DLQ. Again, it is a normal standard queue. I can insert message into this also. I can browse messages out of this. So let us put a message into this first. We can put it as DLQ send. Okay, now we will just refresh it so that we don't have any cache or anything. Okay, We'll go to our DLQ part. Again, we have a requester, which is not going to anywhere. Okay. I will remove any kind of debugger. Okay. Close others. So we'll see this and I will run it as a debug mode so that we can see the error. So at present, what I have is I have one message in my demo MQ and there is no message in the DLQ. It is 0. Okay, so now let's see what happened. Okay, okay, we got the error. So first time, okay, once we got the error, second time, okay, let's see if it gives the third time or not. Meanwhile, we'll also check our queues. So this is my main queue. I don't have any message over here, but let's see if we get it over here. Yes, see, this is not executed more than twice, but we have the message over here and we can go and check, is it the same message or we have another message? So this is the same message. See, DLQ. Okay. So now what happened is it tried for 2 times because I have mentioned it the attempt as 2. It tried for twice. And then when again for the second time it is not successful, it has put the message into the queue. Got it? It has put the message into the queue because there was no success for after 2 attempts. So this is how DLQ work. You don't have to do any additional configuration in your application. Just the main queue what you have, you need to configure a DLQ in that itself. Okay, you don't need to configure it additionally. That's how a DLQ work, and then it will work basically for all the errors. Okay, it basically work for all the errors. Like if you don't handle it over here, so whatever errors you get, it will work for that because automatically it will give you an acknowledgement saying it is a NAC. That's why. Okay, with on error continuous, it won't work because it gives a success response at the end, even though it is error. So it works only with propagate, or you make it manual. If you make a manual acknowledgement, then also it will work. Got it? Any doubt on this? Anyone? Any issue? Any questions? Maybe if in the chat. If Q is FIFO, then DLQ should be FIFO in the same application for standard Q2. Yes, like if it is FIFO Q, then it should be FIFO DLQ. Okay, it cannot be standard one. And let's see. See, there is no result because I don't have any DLQ with FIFO. Okay, that's why it is not even showing me. I have created only standard. That's why it is showing me the standard one. This is a standard DLQ. Hope that answer your question, Vijay. Okay. Okay, sorry, Vijay has answered it. Sai question was it? Yeah, thank you, Vijay, to answer that. So now we'll see a circuit breaker. Okay, and just see it very carefully because it is one of the important one. Okay, which helps uh, to to hold our application for some time if we have errors. Okay, so first of all, let us see the configuration for a circuit breaker. So what stages we have in circuit breaker is closed, half open, and open. We have this three type of stages. So closed means initial stage. When there is no error, everything is working fine. That means the circuit breaker is closed. Open stage is once we get an error. Okay, that is the open stage where the circuit breaker get active. And half open means once the open stage is reached, okay, we have tried a number of threshold for the open stage. After that, it is half open. That means It will not try the number of threshold defined, but it will try only once to send the message and check even the error occurs or it has been rectified. So now this is the configuration. For example, on error type, here you can define what error type you want the circuit breaker to open. Now suppose you are getting a bad request. So if you open a circuit breaker for bad request, that is not a valid one, because until and unless you are not rectifying the message, the circuit breaker keep on working. It will never come to an end. So that is not a valid one. You can have for connectivity, you can have for server error, or maybe unavailability, some errors which actually defined that there is an issue with the end system, you cannot control it, and there you need to have the circuit breaker. So you can define a type over here. If you don't define anything, it will be any. That means whatever error comes, the circuit breaker will apply on that. Threshold means when your circuit breaker opens for the first time, it will minimally try for 3 times to process the message. After third time, it will go into a half open state, and the interval of trying for the 3 time will be 15, and after that the half open state will also be 15, like 15 seconds. You can define the time. Okay, this is how the circuit breaker works. How to configure it? You need to go to your subscriber or your connector. Okay, in this there is an advanced stage. In that you have a circuit breaker option. Okay, you want to make it, you don't want to put any circuit breaker, you want to make it inline, like instead of creating a separate configuration in the global, you can inline it over here. But if there are multiple uh, subscriber where you want to put it, then it is always preferred to have a global. Okay, inline or global. So I created global, and then out of that I have selected the circuit breaker name which I want. Okay, so now once this is done, your circuit breaker is configured. Again, we have a scenario where we have a HTTP requester which is not going anywhere. Okay, so now we will debug it and we'll see the number of tries. Okay, the name of my, there's a circuit breaker. So I'll put one message to circuit breaker. I will send it and we'll say it now. Okay, first time it gave me error. Okay, second time, third time. Now the circuit breaker opened. Okay, it will wait for 15 seconds before sending the messages. Okay, it tried. So once it tried now, after 15 seconds. Now it will wait again for 15 seconds. See, again it tried. Again it is half open. Again it will wait. So this will keep on continuing. Okay, until it is not rectified. Okay, until it is not rectified, it will keep on working like this. Okay, so whenever you configure a circuit breaker, maybe you need to have a proper description of the error type over here so that you don't go into a loop. Okay, now what happens? Suppose you know there is a downtime and the end system will not be there for 4 to 5 hours. Okay, so maybe you change the configuration of your circuit breaker from the property, from the runtime property, because you cannot go and again change the code for that particular time. That is one option. Second is, let us see what happen if we put a dead letter queue with this particular queue. Okay, will it work? Because if we give a number of attempt, like how it will work. So let us do one thing. Okay, so first let us see, we have a messages. Okay, let's run it again, and in between we will try to put a dead letter q. Okay, I will go into a run state, let it half open. When we use real subscribe, let's Syed, in this case, what I'm explaining, we can use it with this because this is a feature attached with the Anypoint MQ. Okay, there are other uh, queues are also there where circuit breaker may be defined for them. So there also you can use it. Okay, so now it is in my half open state. Okay, it already tried for 3 times. Okay, and it is now in half open state. Now let us do one thing. Let us put a dead letter Q to this circuit breaker with an attempt of 2. Okay, and see what happened, whether it tries 2 times more or it directly give me the input. I have not saved yet. Okay, fine. Now I save it. So I have changed from the backend. I have changed the configuration for my circuit breaker main queue. Okay, now DLQ is attached. Okay, so this is the recent one where it is tried. Okay, as a half open state. Now let's see after 15 seconds, does it work or it wait to try it twice. Okay, meanwhile, let's see our messages. See, there is no messages, and here is my message. Okay, let's fetch this. See, now the circuit breaker message also came, and this time even the retry was 2, but it didn't wait because already it is in half open state and we know the error is coming. So as soon as I have attached the DLQ with my circuit breaker and the error came for the next time, it put the message into the DLQ. Okay, so this is the worst case when you know, okay, there is a big timeout, downtime, and it is not going to process for some time, and you don't want to change the configuration by going to the code and changing it, but from the backend only you want to have any solutions, then this is one of them what you can try. Okay, any question? When I'm not configuring any acknowledgement, how long the message will stay in queue? See, as I defined earlier, so we have a default. Okay, so the default acknowledgement time automatically is 2 minutes. It wait for 2 minutes and then it will get the message in the queue, and then again it will keep on trying. But suppose if your app is not working and your message is still in the queue, there is no one to consume it, the maximum what we can have is 14 days. By default it is 7. When you use this configuration, you will get 7 as by default. But for second, this is the range from 60 second to this much second. For minute, this is the range from 1 minute to 20160 minute. For hours, it is this much hours. The maximum is 336 hours. And for day, the maximum is 14. Okay, this is the range by default. You can keep the message in that queue undeleted. After that, if you are not using it, it will delete. Hope that answer your question, Suresh. Okay, now, yeah, anyone, any question? Now let us see one last thing, that is regarding what happen if we don't use a DLQ and we use a normal queue, saying it as a error queue or mentioning it as a DLQ. So we don't mention it as a DLQ. It is our simple error queue. Okay, what happened with an uh, auto acknowledgement, and I have made it as continuous so that even the error is coming and it is publishing in the queue, it will give me a success so that I will delete that message from my queue because it is already there in the error queue. Okay, so I will just run it. This is my standard queue. I'll put a message in my standard queue. Test one. Yes. Okay, got an error. Okay, let's see. No message here, but we have a message here. What is the message? This is my message. So now, as I said, DLQ or other error doesn't work when it is on air continuous because it is not giving an error. Okay, it is just giving an success. So automatically it got a success. Now suppose if you have used on air propagate and you have a publish. Okay, even though you are sending the message to publish, it will keep on sending because it will give automatically, it will give an error, a negative acknowledgement. So in that case, what you need to do is you need to make it manual. You need to have a ACK over here for on error propagate stating that okay, it is positive. Okay, so manually we are making a negative statement to positive. Okay, because we are sending the message into the error queue. Otherwise it will keep on sending and my same messages will keep on going inside the queue, which we don't want. Okay, and make sure when we put something like this is not our DLQ. You can name it as DLQ, but that is not DLQ because that is not the functionality of DLQ. DLQ is directly attached with subscriber, and whatever error come, it directly go there. We don't have to put on air continuous and this queues. Okay, so this is how it work. And then if you want to delete some messages, you can simply purge it. Okay, if you want to delete the queue, you just need to click on this. Just click on this and your queue will be deleted. Okay, so this is how Anypoint MQ works. Okay, so what all we have discussed is, let me go to the slide again. So we discussed the queue types we have. What are the different connectors we have in Anypoint Studio, the configuration of MQ and other connectors, what error types can be attached with that. We already get that. We discussed about circuit breaker and we discussed about DLQ. Okay.